Obo Center Obuka Ose Hatene. Chapter 1. Introduction to Timor-Leste Cybersecurity Landscape. This section introduces readers to the backdrop of Timor-Leste, a nation whose historical context influences the cybersecurity environment's development and configuration. This chapter delves into the evolving cyber threats that Timor-Leste faces and sets the stage for exploring a country's cybersecurity initiatives. Key points. 1. Historical context. This chapter briefly overviews Timor-Leste, emphasizing its journey towards independence and challenges. 1. This highlights how historical events have contributed to their unique positions in cybersecurity. 2. The changing face of cyber threats. Readers are presented with an analysis of the ever-evolving cyber threats that pose a significant risk to Timor-Leste. 2. This includes both traditional and emerging digital challenges. 3. Cybersecurity initiatives. The chapter outlines the various initiatives and measures Timor-Leste has undertaken to protect itself from cyber threats. 3. These include the establishment of dedicated cybersecurity agencies and partnerships with international organizations. 4. National importance. This emphasizes the importance of cybersecurity in Timor-Leste's national security, economy, and infrastructure. 4. This chapter underscores how cybersecurity has become critical to a nation's defense strategy. 5. Future expectations. The chapter concludes by hinting at the broader themes explored in subsequent chapters, setting the stage for a comprehensive examination of Timor-Leste's defensive strategies in the face of cyber threats. Chapter 2. Timor-Leste's vulnerabilities and threat landscape. This chapter delves deeply into Timor-Leste's vulnerabilities and the complex threat landscape it faces in the digital realm. It offers a comprehensive analysis of the specific weaknesses that make a nation susceptible to cyber attacks, as well as an examination of the current threats it confronts. Key points. 1. Identifying vulnerabilities. This chapter begins by identifying and dissecting Timor-Leste's technological infrastructure, economic dependencies, and digital literacy gaps. 2. Critical infrastructure risks. A detailed examination is conducted of the vulnerabilities in the country's critical infrastructure sectors, such as energy, transportation, and healthcare, and how cyber adversaries can exploit these vulnerabilities. 3. Socioeconomic factors. The chapter explores how socioeconomic factors contribute to Timor-Leste's vulnerability, including limited resources, access to technology, and workforce skills. 4. Geopolitical considerations. Readers understand how Timor-Leste's geopolitical positioning in Southeast Asia influences its vulnerability to state-sponsored cyber threats and regional cyber dynamics. 5. Current threat landscape. This chapter shifts the focus to the present by providing an overview of the various cyber threats that Timor-Leste currently faces, including malware attacks, phishing campaigns, and data breaches. 6. Analysis of cyber incidents. Real-world examples of cyber incidents in Timor-Leste are discussed, showing the tangible impact of cyber threats on national institutions and citizens. 7. Consequences of vulnerabilities. The chapter concludes by emphasizing the potential consequences of Timor-Leste's vulnerabilities if not addressed promptly and effectively. 7. This underscores the urgency of implementing robust cybersecurity measures. Chapter 3. The establishment of Timor-Leste's Cybersecurity Task Force. This chapter delves into the formation and structure of Timor-Leste's Cybersecurity Task Force, shedding light on the key players, responsibilities, and objectives that define this crucial entity in the nation's cybersecurity defense strategy. Key points. 1. Inception and motivation. This chapter begins by exploring the historical circumstances and underlying factors that precipitated the creation of the Cybersecurity Task Force in Timor-Leste. 1. This highlights the catalyst prompting the government to take action. 2. Task force composition. Readers are introduced to the individuals and organizations that make up the Cybersecurity Task Force, including government agencies, experts, and private sector partners. 3. Leadership and governance. This chapter discusses the leadership structure within the task force, emphasizing the roles and responsibilities of key figures, such as the Chief Information Security Officer, CISO, and task force directors. 4. This study outlines the specific mandates and objectives of this cybersecurity task force, detailing its core mission, which includes securing critical infrastructure, developing cybersecurity policies, and responding to cyber incidents. Chapter 4. Timor-Leste Cybersecurity Policies and Regulations. In this chapter, we delve into the legal and regulatory framework established by Timor-Leste to govern and safeguard the digital landscape. Readers gain an understanding of the policies and regulations put in place to protect critical infrastructure and data. Key points. 1. Legislative framework. This chapter begins by providing an overview of Timor-Leste's legislative framework related to cybersecurity, including fundamental laws and regulations governing cyberspace. 2. Data protection and privacy. This explores a nation's efforts to protect its citizens' privacy and personal data, highlighting data protection laws and their enforcement mechanisms. 3. National cybersecurity strategy. Readers are introduced to Timor-Leste's national cybersecurity strategy, including its objectives, priorities, and action plans, to ensure a comprehensive approach to cybersecurity. 4. Incident reporting and response. This chapter discusses protocols for reporting cyber incidents and mechanisms for swift and effective responses to cybersecurity breaches. 5. Cybercrime legislation. It outlines legal provisions to combat cybercrime, such as laws addressing hacking, identity theft, and online fraud. 6. Sector-specific regulations. The chapter examines sector-specific regulations, emphasizing how different industries, such as finance and healthcare, are regulated to ensure cybersecurity compliance. 7. Compliance and enforcement. Readers gain insights into the mechanisms for ensuring compliance with cybersecurity regulations and the consequences of non-compliance. 8. International agreements. This chapter touches upon the international agreements and collaborations that Timor-Leste has entered to strengthen its cybersecurity posture. 9. Public awareness. It discusses initiatives to raise public awareness of cybersecurity laws and regulations and the importance of compliance. 10. Future development. The chapter highlights the potential growth and adaptation areas in Timor-Leste's cybersecurity policies and regulations to address emerging threats and challenges. 1. Collaborative efforts. This chapter explores how a task force collaborates with other government entities, law enforcement agencies, and international partners to strengthen a nation's cybersecurity posture. 2. Capacity building. Readers gain insight into the task force's efforts to build cybersecurity capacity within the nation, including training programs and skill development initiatives. 3. Funding and resources. This chapter addresses the financial and resource support allocated to the task force, highlighting the government's commitment to cybersecurity. 4. Challenges and milestones. It reflects on the challenges faced by the task force during its establishment and early operations, as well as notable milestones achieved in enhancing Timor-Leste's cybersecurity resilience. Chapter 5. Cyber hygiene and public awareness campaigns. This chapter explores the essential role of cyber hygiene and public awareness campaigns in fortifying Timor-Leste's cybersecurity defenses. It delves into initiatives to educate the public about cyber threats and promote good cybersecurity practices among citizens. Key points. 1. Importance of cyber hygiene. This chapter begins by emphasizing the significance of cyber hygiene in preventing cyber attacks. 1. This highlights that basic cybersecurity practices can mitigate these risks. 2. Public awareness programs. Readers are introduced to various public awareness programs initiated by the government and cybersecurity agencies to educate citizens about online safety. 3. School and community initiatives. This chapter discusses programs targeting schools and communities, including cybersecurity workshops, seminars, and educational materials to raise awareness among students and the general population. 4. Social media campaigns. The chapter examines the use of social media platforms to disseminate cybersecurity tips, warnings about common threats, and best practices for safe online behavior. 5. Collaborative efforts. Readers gain insight into how public and private sector collaboration enhances public awareness campaigns. 5. Partnerships with NGOs, tech companies, and educational institutions are also explored. 6. Cybersecurity education. The chapter explores the inclusion of cybersecurity education in school curricula and vocational training, ensuring that future generations are well prepared to secure cyberspace. 7. Outreach to vulnerable groups. It targeted campaigns to engage with vulnerable populations, such as the elderly, effectively. 7. Therefore, targeted strategies and interventions should be implemented. 7. Underserved communities may be more susceptible to cyber threats. 8. Measuring impact. This chapter considers metrics and methods for assessing the effectiveness of public awareness campaigns in changing behaviors and reducing cyber risk. 9. Challenges and adaptations. This study addresses the challenges faced in implementing these campaigns, including budget constraints and evolving threat landscapes, and proposes adaptation strategies. 10. Future outlook. This chapter discusses the continued importance of public awareness campaigns in Timor-Leste's cybersecurity strategy and the potential for further innovation. Chapter 6. Building cybersecurity partnerships. This chapter delves into Timor-Leste's efforts to build cybersecurity partnerships at both national and international levels. It explores collaborations with neighboring countries and global organizations to strengthen cyber defense capabilities and share threat intelligence. Key points. 1. Importance of partnerships. This chapter begins by highlighting the significance of forging cybersecurity partnerships in the interconnected digital world and emphasizing how collaboration enhances threat detection and response. 2. Bilateral collaborations. Readers are introduced to bilateral agreements and collaborations between Timor-Leste and neighboring countries in the Southeast Asian region to share cyber threat information and bolster regional security. 3. Information sharing. This study discusses the mechanisms and platforms used for sharing threat intelligence, including the exchange of cyber threat indicators and incident reports among partner nations. 4. Capacity building. This chapter explores initiatives aimed at capacity building through joint training exercises, workshops, and knowledge-sharing programs with partner countries. 5. International organizations. Readers gain insights into Timor-Leste's involvement in international cybersecurity organizations and forums, such as Interpol and ASEAN, and the benefits of participation. 6. Public-private partnerships. The chapter examines the role of private sector partnerships in enhancing cybersecurity resilience, focusing on collaborations with tech companies, service providers, and cybersecurity firms. 7. Cross-sector collaboration. The study addresses how cross-sector collaboration is fostered within Timor-Leste, involving government agencies, critical infrastructure operators, and civil society organizations. 8. Incident response coordination. This chapter discusses how cybersecurity partnerships facilitate coordinated incident response efforts, allowing swift and effective reactions to cyber threats. 9. Challenges and trust building. This acknowledges the challenges in building and maintaining cybersecurity partnerships, such as trust building, information sharing concerns, and strategies to address these issues. 10. Future collaborations. This chapter concludes by emphasizing the ongoing importance of cybersecurity partnerships in Timor-Leste's cyber defense strategy and the potential areas for future collaboration. Chapter 7. Incident response and recovery strategies. This chapter delves into Timor-Leste's approach to handling cyber incidents and strategies for swift recovery and damage minimization. It explores the critical components of incident response and a nation's commitment to safeguard its digital assets. Key points. 1. Significance of incident response. The chapter begins by emphasizing the importance of a well-defined incident response strategy in mitigating the impact of cyber attacks. 2. Incident response framework. Readers are introduced to Timor-Leste's incident response framework, outlining the key stages of identification, containment, eradication, recovery, and lessons learned. 3. Cyber incident reporting. This paper discusses the protocols and mechanisms for reporting cyber incidents to relevant authorities, including the role of the Cybersecurity Task Force. 4. Coordination and communication. The chapter explores how incident response efforts are coordinated among various stakeholders, including government agencies, law enforcement, and private sector partners. 5. Threat intelligence integration. This approach addresses threat intelligence integration into incident response processes, enabling a proactive and adaptive approach to emerging threats. 6. Digital forensics and investigation. Readers gain insight into the role of digital forensics and investigative techniques in identifying the source and scope of cyber incidents. 7. Recovery and resilience. This chapter discusses strategies for recovering from cyber incidents, restoring services, and enhancing cybersecurity resilience. 8. Public communication. It highlights the importance of transparent and timely communication with the public and affected parties during and after cyber incidents. 9. Cross-border cooperation. This chapter examines how Timor-Leste collaborates with neighboring countries and international partners in incident response and information sharing. 10. Lessons learned. The chapter concludes by emphasizing the value of post-incident analysis and the incorporation of lessons learned into future cybersecurity strategies. Chapter 8. Protecting critical infrastructure. This section examines Timor-Leste's comprehensive approach to safeguarding its critical infrastructure from cyber threats. We examine specific protective measures, case studies, and best practices implemented in sectors crucial to a nation's functioning. Key points. 1. Critical infrastructure overview. An introduction to various sectors considered critical to Timor-Leste's national security and economy. 2. Sector-specific protection measures. Detailed discussions on cybersecurity measures and strategies tailored to safeguard critical infrastructure sectors, including energy, transportation, and healthcare. 3. Case studies. Examination of real-world cyber threats and incidents in critical infrastructure sectors and how they were mitigated. 4. Regulatory compliance. The role of regulations and compliance standards in ensuring the cybersecurity of critical infrastructure components. 5. Public-private collaboration. Highlighting collaborative efforts between the government and private sector organizations in protecting critical assets. 6. Future challenges. Exploring the evolving threat landscape and how Timor-Leste plans to adapt to critical infrastructure protection strategies. Chapter 9. Timor-Leste's role in international cybersecurity. This chapter focuses on Timor-Leste's participation in international cybersecurity forums and treaties. It showcases the nation's contributions to the global fight against cyber threats and its engagement in diplomatic efforts. Key points. 1. International cybersecurity agreements. An overview of international agreements and treaties to which Timor-Leste is a signatory. 2. Timor-Leste's participation. Detailed discussions on the nation's active involvement in international cybersecurity organizations and forums. 3. Diplomacy and cyber norms. Exploration of Timor-Leste's role in shaping international cyber norms and promoting responsible behavior in cyberspace. 4. Global threat intelligence sharing. The nation's contributions to global threat intelligence sharing initiatives and collaborations with other countries. 5. Cyber capacity building. Efforts to assist other nations in building their cybersecurity capacity, sharing knowledge, and providing technical assistance. 6. Future diplomatic engagement. Consideration of Timor-Leste's future diplomatic endeavors in international cybersecurity. Chapter 10. Future challenges and adaptations. This chapter explores the cyber threats and challenges Timor-Leste is expected to face in the coming years. This emphasizes the nation's strategies for adapting to the evolving cybersecurity landscape. Key points. 1. Emerging cyber threats. Identify anticipated threats, including advanced persistent threats, apps, emerging technologies, and evolving attack vectors. 2. Cybersecurity resilience strategies. Examination of Timor-Leste strategies for enhancing cybersecurity resilience in the face of evolving threats. 3. Regulatory adaptations. Consideration of how the nation plans to adapt its cybersecurity policies and regulations to address emerging challenges. 4. Technological advancements. Exploration of technological advancements, such as AI and machine learning, bolsters cybersecurity defenses. 5. Public awareness and education. Continued efforts to educate the public and organizations about evolving cyber threats and best practices. Chapter 11. Success stories and lessons learned. This chapter highlights success stories in Timor-Leste's cybersecurity journey, showing instances of cyber threats effectively mitigated. It also reflects on the key takeaways and lessons for other nations. Key points. 1. Success stories. Detailed narratives of notable instances where Timor-Leste defended against cyber threats or responded effectively to incidents. 2. Lessons learned. Reflections on the key lessons and best practices from Timor-Leste's cybersecurity experiences. Chapter 12. Conclusion and outlook. In this concluding chapter, we summarize Timor-Leste's cybersecurity journey and provide an outlook for the future. It reflects on the nation's achievements and ongoing commitment to cybersecurity. Key points. 1. Summary. A concise recap of Timor-Leste's efforts to strengthen its cybersecurity defenses. 2. Achievements. Notable achievements and milestones in the nation's cybersecurity landscape. 3. Future prospects. An outlook for Timor-Leste's continued commitment to cybersecurity and potential for growth and innovation.